We are now in week 2 of the Karen Read case. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Paula Eben. The prosecutor and the defense spent most of the morning analyzing the crime scene and quizzing the first responders who were there. Now, before the jury entered the room, the defense accused one witness of perjury, saying that it has evidence that a firefighter EMT who testified last week downplayed her connection to another witness in the case. So here is what she said during her testimony on Friday, and then what the defense says it has uncovered since then.
Do you know Caitlin Albert?
I do.
You're friends with Caitlin Albert?
I would say more acquaintances, not close friends.
Since Katie McLaughlin testified on Thursday and Friday, we received a deluge of photographs that put her with Caitlin Albert on many different occasions after they graduated high school. We received information from their high school yearbook that they were more than just acquaintances in high school. They were teammates on the track team. And even after I sent that email with the photographs that I attached to it, late last night, we received another photo where Katie McLaughlin and Caitlin Albert are standing next to each other in a photo at a baby shower in June of 2021, about 8 months before John O'Keefe's death. It's very clear to us that Katie McLaughlin perjured herself.
Heard the 911 call after Boston police officer John O'Keefe was found lying in the snow, unresponsive on Canton Road.
911 emergency. Immediately to 30 Road, Canton now. What's going on? There's a guy unresponsive in the snow. In the snow? 34? Yes, 34, the Albert resident. Yes, I just pulled up and found it. Okay, 34 p.m. 34 p.m. you can now, yes. 911 on the corridor, emergency. Hello? Yes, I'm sorry. Can you come to 34? Yes, you wrote it, Canton. 34 Fairview? Yes, it is. I mean, unresponsive in the snow.
She would revisit the perjury issue later today or tomorrow. So the jury is on a lunch break right now. They'll return to the courtroom to hear more witness testimony this afternoon. And while we await their return, we want to bring in WBZ I-Team Chief Investigator and Attorney Cheryl Fiandaca to break down today's testimony. If people have missed what happened so far this morning, what stood out to you?
Well, you know, the whole perjury thing that the defense brought up, saying that they got all of these photos, and this woman testified on Friday that she was an acquaintance and not a close friend. So that's going to go to the judge looking at it and saying, well, what does she mean by acquaintance? What does she mean by close friend? Just because someone's in a picture with you, and there may be many pictures because you travel in the same circles, doesn't necessarily mean that you have a close relationship, but you may have a relationship that's more than an acquaintance. So she'll have to unravel all of that either later today or tomorrow.
Right. And that is difficult, as you say. There can be someone you went to high school with, perhaps you see them, but they might not be an intimate friend of yours.
Right.
As you heard the 911 call, there were emotional reactions in the courtroom, and as we start to hear evidence in real time of how people were reacting, what do you think that tells the jury?
Well, you know, obviously a chaotic scene. Obviously people are very emotional. I mean, I think at one point on that tape she says that Karen Read was hysterical, or she was very distraught. You know, obviously if you see a scene like this, whether you are or not involved, it has to be very disturbing. So that's, you know, part of what I think you would normally hear on a 911 call. So I don't know that that's that difficult to believe or to, you know, to assess. But some of the interesting testimony, I think, really revolved around the collection of evidence. Who was at the scene? How did they collect evidence? How was it processed? How was it brought to the station? How was it categorized? and what happened from the time it was picked up to the time that it actually got to the crime lab to be analyzed. I mean, part of the chain of custody and evidence is that you have to be very careful, investigators have to be very careful in how the evidence is not only collected, how it's transported, how it is being held, just to prevent any type of contamination at all. So you saw the defense trying to poke holes in how that entire process took place.
All right, testimony continues this afternoon. Cheryl Fiandaca, thank you for your expertise. And of course, we are streaming the entire Karen Read trial live here on CBS News Boston, and we'll have updates for you like this every day that the trial continues.